Hi, everybody. Good morning. This is Al in Philadelphia at the Kelly Writers House. It's my honor to moderate the fifth final word session of ModPo since we founded ModPo in 2012. And it's always a good and at moments powerful experience to hear what people felt as they got through the course. So what we're going to do is we have no agenda today other than to allow people to say farewell or hello or a shout out or something about the impact that one of the poets or many of the poets had on them, something about your experience in the last 10 weeks. The number is 215-573-9752. We have a Twitter feed, and I know Davey, among others, will be looking at that. So if you have a pithy tweet size final word, we might get that in. There are people in the room. We'll pass around the portable mic, and we'll allow the TAs to say, whoa, there we go. The TAs chance to say their final words. And we have Molly in the Google Hangout so far, and it's very early out there. Good morning, Molly.
Good morning.
Good morning. We have Jake joining us briefly because he's teaching today. We have Max, who's starting a new job, and therefore Anna will read his final word. We have somebody else. Allie will be calling in if she can get through. So we have scattered TAs and some here. So, well, why don't we just start right away with the person on the phone. Anna, who's on the phone?
We have got our friend Phil Drexler calling us from Texas.
Okay, great. Good morning, Philip.
Hello.
Hey, good morning. Do you have a brief final word for us in 2016?
Yes, sir. First of all, I have to mention a true final word. A lady named Ruth Gruber died the other day at 105, and she helped hundreds of children survive the Holocaust as a State Department official. So I just had to mention that.
That's a cool shout-out.
Yep. Yes, there was a caller, I think, in the first week, Al, who had a question about lineage and seemed to be anxious about what our place was in the world with all this poetry. And I actually called in and left a message on the voicemail that's basically the same as what I'm about to say now, and this is my final word for ModPo. Basically what it boils down to, Al, is that we came together in this community 4 or 5 years ago because we love poetry, and somewhere along the way we also got to love the people that love this poetry, and somewhere along the line some of us actually got to love the people themselves that love this poetry. And I have to add on a personal note that in my case that includes the fact that I happen to love the gentle master who presides over this community.
Thank you, Philip.
So that's my final
Thank
word.
you so much. Thanks for being with us all this time, and thanks for calling in from Texas this morning. We wish you well,
Al.
Philip. Thank you. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye. Philip Drexler from Austin, Texas. Alice, so I need that clipboard that's going around so we can start calling on people. Jason, will you give the mic to someone? How about Carly? Carly came. Hi, Carly. Carly came all the way from Richmond, Virginia for these final words with her grandmother. And I'm sorry, your name is?
Carla Hunt.
Carla and Carly.
Yes.
From Charlottesville, my town, for 7 years, and Richmond. So, Carly, you have a final thought, final word?
I do. I just wanted to say thank you specifically for, the lesson on Stein. Stein had always been sort of this figure for me that I wanted to be able to relate to, but it was very hard. So I think that really helped me approach her and finally have access to her. But I actually didn't really prepare like a final word
That's okay.
per se. I prepared sort of a question I wanted to ask, if that's okay.
Sure. I'm not sure today we'll answer it directly here, but we would
Okay.
we love questions and we will take note.
Okay, so should I just ask it afterwards or?
No, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So I was reading Barbara Guest's Invisible Architecture while we were doing the Imagists, and I had a hard time reconciling the idea of invisible architecture with finding the perfect word within a poem. So I was wondering if it's kind of cruel in a way to reduce a poem down to a complete sense of correctness from its original preliminary form without a vocabulary. So
It's a great question, and yes, it is an answer to the question. But Erica Kaufman, who's going to hang out for pizza afterwards. Carla, you going to stay for pizza?
sure.
All right, so Erica is going to stay, and she has something to say about Barbara Guest, so
Okay.
that's
All right.
fantastic. Okay, Jason, so you'll want the portable mic back. We're going to go to Molly for a final word, a fifth year of final words, and then I'd like Kamara to get a chance because she's got to go after a little while, so the mic will come up to Kamara. Molly, good morning. Thank you for all that you've done over the years in ModPo, holding up the West Coast there.
Well, thank you for having me for so many years. So I keep coming back to Ron Silliman and Albany and the first line, if the function of writing is to express the world. And for me, that becomes an if-then statement. Then the function of reading is to understand it, or is to receive it, or is to digest it. And I think that all of us have used ModPo this year in maybe a greater way than in years past to help us understand the world and what's going on around us, and understand each other as humans and how we can connect and communicate and leave space to receive one another's differing opinions. And I feel really fulfilled getting to watch that again.
Thank you, Molly. Let's hear from Molly O'Neill in Los Angeles. Thank you, Molly, for those wonderful final words. Yeah, and so true. So Kamara has the mic. Kamara, good morning.
Good morning.
Final thoughts, final words?
I'm just really thankful that I know who Tracy Morris is. I'm feeling very thankful for that. And thankful that she's helped me come to terms with or be okay with breaking down one thing, one emotion, one sentence, and just unpacking it with all of its breadth. And after the election, after Friday, after all these things, people asked me to write poems, and I was like, I can't write a poem. I can't write a poem about this. And so I broke down a line in my Angelou poem, Still I Rise, I am the hope and dream of a slave. And that line really gets to me all the time. But then we played it, and one of my teachers played it in a class, Still I Rise, and I was like, what? Why are we? And then I got it. And so then, moral of the story is that I'm thankful that I know who Tracy Morris is because of this and because of English 88. And I felt empowered that I didn't have to stick to syntax. And that's okay. And mostly that was truer than anything else. Any sentence I could have constructed. Deconstructing it was more truer and honest than anything. So,
Thank you, Kamara Brown. Yeah. So Jason's going to get the mic back. Anna, we have someone on the phone for a final word. Yep.
We have our beloved CTA, Emily W., calling us.
Emily W., I believe in Europe somewhere. Emily?
Hi.
Hi. Are you in Scandinavia somewhere?
No, actually, I'm in Utah.
In Utah. Oh, I just have, it's so funny, you know, like I always think of you as Denmark or something. Utah's like Denmark. Maybe not.
I live in Sweden, but I'm visiting Utah.
Oh, you're in Sweden. Okay, I wasn't wrong about that. Okay, great.
No, you're not wrong.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for being such a great community TA, CTA. We really appreciate your efforts. You have a ton of enthusiasm and energy.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Do you have a final word or final thought?
No, my thoughts are not final. They are ongoing. And I just wanted to say thanks to you and to all the other students and everybody who's a part of this class and makes it work. It's been really great this year.
Thank you, Emily.
Never enough time to devote to it, but do what I can, and I'm happy to be there.
Thank you. Thanks
I'm
for your
happy
help.
for all of you.
Fantastic. Thanks for being such a good citizen of the ModPo community. Appreciate it. Have a great day, and watch the rest of the webcast and enjoy.
I will.
All right.
Okay,
Bye, Emily.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to get the mic back to Carlos. In the meantime, Davey, anything Twitter-worthy that's happening?
Just lots of formidable sweetness. Lots of people.
Formidable sweetness?
Formidable sweetness. People being excited about the Slowpo season. Joe Massey is watching the webcast. He's excited about Slowpo.
Joe.
Yeah.
Plug Joe's. Joe and I are meeting by phone next Monday to talk about when he's going to offer his Sid Corman mini course.
Yeah, lots of people looking forward to ModPo between ModPos.
Fantastic. All right. Carlos, good morning, pal.
Good morning.
Thank you. This is your second year doing my...
Yes.
He sounds like we're the first people he's talked to today.
You're not wrong.
Okay. Do you have a final thought, Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, my final thought will echo a lot of what I said last year, is that I am also very thankful to be a part of this. Whenever I come in and listen to the students talk in my office hours, the TAs talk here, or the students talk here, the people who call in, everyone is so incredibly smart and so very lucid and so very enthusiastic, which really gets to me. This energy that exists out in the world, I think, is very affirming. Just knowing that there are other people who are passionate and excited to be reading poems and even rereading poems or rereading poems. And then coming together and sort of sharing that has always been a nice experience for me. Second year, I'm a little more comfortable with the camera.
Get a close up there.
Don't do that.
Oh, there it is.
Move away.
You're
gonna make it real hard,
Zach.
But yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. Mostly, It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, Anna, we have someone on the phone. Who is that?
We do indeed. We have our friend Jim Pecorello calling us from New Jersey.
Oh, great.
Jim, I apologize for the Jersey accent.
I'm from Brooklyn anyway.
Okay.
Go Brooklyn. Well, he's from Brooklyn, but he's in New Jersey. I know that. Jim, I'm sorry that you weren't able to make the drive over today. I hope we get a chance to meet you at some point.
Well, this is my first year, but I would love to make a pilgrimage to the Kelly Ryder's house.
Please do. And your question, the last webcast was so great, or 2 webcasts ago, and I'm glad that we've connected toward the latter end of the course.
You're very, very kind. Here's my final comment. There's an essay I read, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years ago by Dana Gioia called Can Poetry Matter?
Oh, I know that essay.
And it was what was wrong with poetry and why people didn't read it and what was hard about it. And there were things he got right, but things he got wrong, and I never could quite put my finger on it. And I think this ModPo experience helped. And the conclusion I've come to is that for most of Western history, what the function of art and poetry was to sort of define and reinforce identity. And while the acronym DIY is now fashionable, I think what the modernists said was, we're going to have a DIY culture. You tell me that poetry is stressed, metered, rhymed language that arranged in preordained structures. We say, no, poetry is what poets do. And of course, the fun is, well, who are the poets? But one of the things that also happens is that, in fact, that long tradition where everybody knew how to read poetry because they were just learning how to become part of their culture it was pretty much straight white guys like me who was writing it, and that was the culture that was being reinforced. And so all of a sudden you now have this explosion of individuals, but also individual cultures. And I think Gioia was correct that one of the ways to learn how to read this stuff is in a university setting. And what you've done with Penn Sound and Poets Talk is you've now opened that up. So maybe he was right about that. You need a university setting. You have to learn how to read these poets. You've now given or opened up the opportunity for the rest of us to sort of learn how to read it. And I also want to give a particular shout out to Gabe, because he when I talked about speech in Black Mountain, he mentioned this poet named C.A. Conrad, and he's not what I am. He's not a straight white guy, even though he's a white guy, but his stuff was fantastic. Sort of a jolt to the system, a wake-up call, and it's showing, there are different kinds of identities. And so straight white guy who's in favor of gay rights, are you in favor of this? And he gives me something else to think about, and it was great. It was great.
Jim, thank you for, in one fabulous final word, being as kind to Dana Joya's argument as anyone I've ever heard.
Well,
and at the same, anyone in my world, but at the same time, I'm just such an elegant final thought, because, and at the same time, pivoting from Dana Joya, I mean, there is a democratic urge in Dana Joya. He's just closed off to formal experimentation. I mean, what he said about the language poets is almost unforgivable, way back. And then pivoting to turn to Gabe and C.A. Conrad, it's just, you make, and then talking about the university and taking the walls down of the material, you make me single-handedly pleased that we've tried this. So thank you, Jim.
Right, which means the final shout-out is to you, Al.
Oh, thank you, Jim. I was not looking for that, but I appreciate it.
You deserve it.
Thank you. I hope to see you at the Writers' House soon.
Me too. Take care.
Fantastic. Oh, gosh. So, Jason, you have the mic. Would you pass it along to Caroline Harris, who's right in front of you? Caroline, are you ready for a final thought?
Yeah, so I wanted to shout out the poem Sid Corman's It Isn't for Want, which is now my favorite poem. And I love what it says about poetry and about the space created here, because I think that a lot of what poetry does is create a space for people and kind of a sense of love and recognition. So that's what this class has been for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Fantastic. And at the very, very end, when I do a little summary of some thank yous to people, a quote from you is in there, and I really enjoyed having you as part of this experiment. So we're going to take the person on the phone, but I wonder if we get the mic to Alice all the way over here for the next one. And while we're waiting for the phone person to get introduced, why don't we turn to Emily Harnett for a final word. Emily? Thank you, Emily, for being such a good friend of the Writers' House, of me, of ModPo, of Complex Thought.
Oh, shucks. Thank all of you, too.
She's the only person I know who says, aw, shucks, without irony.
Suits me. Yeah, I talk about this pretty much every final words because I haven't been an undergrad for a couple years, and I've grown up with ModPo. It's been 5 years at this point, and there's something really uncanny and wonderful about that, and I've appreciated it especially this year, listening to kind of Yacht Blanc and Tracy Morris. Kamara, you said so much of what I've been thinking, just that there's something beautiful about that and something so urgent for this particular moment. And as I've mentioned in earlier webcasts, I love the opportunity for rereading that this class allows us for re-encountering things and watching not just how we can change, but how this poetry can even change to accommodate things that we couldn't have foreseen. The familiarity of it is what's so comforting of having it here, of rereading it, but also its power to be new in the kind of most revelatory ways is something that I'm so grateful to have in my life.
Thank you, Emily. Emily Harnett, everybody. Who do we have on the phone, Anna?
So, Al, we have our friend George Emery calling us from Canada. Remember when he came to visit like a couple
totally
weeks ago?
Remember George.
Yeah, so he's calling in.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, George.
Hi, Al. How do you do?
I'm
Hello,
fine.
MoPo crowd.
It's great to hear your voice. Any snow up there?
We're getting inundated for
Yeah.
the last 2 days, so
Yeah, that's what I hear.
kind of coolish here.
I think you said you're Ottawa. Aren't you Ottawa?
Yes, that's right,
Right.
the capital.
Yeah, the capital. Thanks for reminding us.
And I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciated the course. It's my first time. I'll be tuned in next year and the year after and as long as you go. I want to thank you especially for producing such an interesting way of dealing with poetry. The collaborative reading I find particularly fascinating, and I really enjoy. I feel like I'm part of the gang down there.
That's great. Thank you, George.
Okay, I'll
Thanks
let
so
you
much.
go. I know
Okay.
others want to talk.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much, George. Wow, that's great. Christine Coates from South Africa. We live in a dumbed-down, misogynistic, racist, xenophobic world, and Santa, Tooth Fairy, not real, but there is poetry and ModPo. God, I love that. Alice, you're from Australia, from Melbourne, and I shouted out to you a couple weeks ago. You have a wonderful poetry podcast. You've been in New York, and here you are at the Writers' House for the first time. So we're so glad. And do you have a final thought for us?
Yeah, well, I guess I just wanted to talk about coming to the Writers' House and the experience of walking through these doors this morning. I first started doing ModPo in 2012. I was on holiday. I was up in the north of Australia. I should have been at the beach, and I did not go to the beach. I just sat in front of these videos and watched these amazing people just dismantling my world and putting it back together in a much more interesting way. And I thought coming through these doors I'd be really nervous and it would feel strange. It feels like I've been here a million times. And it feels like when I have started to meet all the TAs and when I met Al, I was like, oh, there's Al. Like I'd known you these 5 years. So I guess I wanted to say that as a shout out to everyone who feels like they might never get to the Writers' House. You're already here, really. It's this space is everywhere, so you don't have to come, but do come, but you don't have to.
Thank you, Alice, and thank you for what you do for poetry. Outrageous compliment from Bob Zanasir, who writes in the forums, "Thank you for ruining every other MOOC I'll ever take. You've set the bar too high." I think there's a lot of anti-MOOC people, if I can say that, in the ModPo team for what it's become on the basis of the potential of its impersonality and its authoritarianism implicitly, pedagogically, and we've worked against that, obviously, and so that's how the bar is set high. It's set high because we care about the people in this room and the people calling in, and that's all it takes, actually. It's not that hard. Of course, Zach and Chris will probably tell you otherwise that it's not that hard, but and we have someone on the phone, and then I'd like to get the microphone to Gloria, if you're up for a final word, Gloria? No. Okay, so we're going to go to Grace in the back there. Can we get the mic to Grace? Who's on the phone?
We've got our pal Mama Pope calling us from California.
Mama Pope. Okay, yeah, Joyce. Hello, Joyce.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. My final words are very brief.
Okay.
You have all made my life so rich, and I thank you for the friendship of ModPo people.
Oh, Joyce, you're going to make us cry. You know, one of the best things that happened to me this fall was seeing you in San Francisco and getting a Mama Pope hug and some meatballs.
Yeah. We'll get more of those.
Well, we're going to...
Love you.
Really?
Love
you promise?
Yes, we'll do it again.
You have no idea, Joyce, how important that is. It's great.
It was one of the highlights of my life.
I have a Mama Pope in the world. And you know what? We're going to have pizza afterwards, and Anna ordered it, but there's no meatball pizza, so we're bereft.
Maybe we'll make meatball pizza the next time then, huh?
Cool. I love it. Thank you,
All right,
my dear.
honey.
Love you so
all.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're going over to Grace. Hi, Grace.
Hi.
How far did you come today?
Oh, I came from New Jersey. So I was the one who won the free book a couple
Which one?
podcasts ago.
Which one?
I think it was the Kate Colby one.
Oh, the night that Kate was here. Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, and I remember calling in, and I was like, oh, I want a free book. So, but thank you for that. And I guess my final word is that ModPo, the experience for me has been, I wish I was much more involved in it, but the one thing that really resonated within me was during week 1 with Emily Dickinson's I Dwell in Possibility and her idea of prose versus poetry, and how the idea that we need poetry when prose just kind of won't cut it. And I wish I came up with that idea on my own, but I didn't. I got that from Peter Menke. But yeah, poetry for me has been something to enrich my life and to bring different perspectives and help me understand what's going on around me, about myself, to dig a little bit deeper, just in general. And ModPo has been very enriching for me, if that makes sense. So
Yes, it does.
Thank you so much for your dedication and
Thank
everything.
you, Grace.
And
Thanks for driving over, and I hope you'll stay for our pizza party.
Oh, yeah,
afterwards.
that's what I came here for.
Fantastic. Whoa, okay, that's cool. What you said about prose and poetry makes me think of things that Lily Applebaum has been saying lately about the importance of, I guess, getting right to it and clearing out the extras. So maybe we'll turn to Lily for a final thought now. She's sharing the mic. So.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about, particularly after the election, and through like a 2-year election cycle, which is madness and like should be illegal. Personally, I think everyone I know is experiencing like intense depression, crazy flare-ups of anxiety disorders, just because of like being surrounded by all this insane news coverage and hateful rhetoric just everywhere, like no thought of where to broadcast it and why and all this stuff. And like I've been thinking a lot about how it's not through like science and careerism in university settings that we're going to learn how to find empathy for people and have conversations and listen and like hear from those who are struggling and figure out how to help them. It's through the humanities, and especially through poetry, I think, because poetry can like, if you're a person with something difficult to express, give you a way to represent it. And if you're someone in a place of privilege who needs to hear that expression and learn how to listen to it and do something about it, poetry gives that space too. So I've been feeling, despite the fact that 50% of college-educated white people in this country voted for Donald Trump, I've been feeling optimistic about the work we can do on the campus and how we can leverage that work to broadcast it through ModPo and other Writers House outreach to the rest of the world, to use this as like a wake-up call to make big changes and like learn interpersonally and empathetically. So yeah, that's it.
Lily Applebaum, everybody. Thank you, Lily. And among other advocacies in her final thought, you heard a pretty, I don't want to say radical, it is radical, but emphatic shout out to the humanities as a certain way of learning and teaching that I'm sure a lot of our science colleagues would and have at, parties and gatherings and faculty meetings, in my experience over the years, taken exception to, but they're wrong. So there you go.
I mean, there's no, like, you can do as much science and experiments as you want, and you can't, like, create empathy that way. Like, you could study why someone would choose to be altruistic in a certain setting, whatever, but you can't, like, teach someone how to do that with science.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. We're going to get some good letters and calls from that, but no, I think it's bring them on. Let's. I'd like to have that conversation. Actually, I think it's time to have that conversation. So. Okay, so we're going to go to the person on the phone. Then I'd like for Michelle Pereira to have a word. Okay, and then we're going to go to Gabe after that. Okay, let me try to remember that order. So who do we have on the phone?
We've got our pal Chris calling us. Chris Lynch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Chris. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Al.
Hey, buddy. Could you have a brief final word?
Yes. I'd like to say that I love all of you, the TAs, the mentors, and my peers. And this has been a very rewarding, exhilarating experience. I have learned so much about poetry. I've taken a few creative writing classes. And we've covered a few poets, but never so many poets and poetry movements in such depth. And this is much more than a massive open online course. It's more like a massive open online family.
Oh, nice, Chris. Thank you.
I missed week 9 due to depression.
but I just want to let you know that I share your grief and concern.
Thank you, Chris.
I want to remind everybody of a saying. I forget who said it originally, but the pen is mightier than the sword.
Yes. Thank you,
And
Chris.
so if we keep writing and, working together to push back on the racism and sexism and fascism, hopefully we can prevent, really bad things from happening.
Chris, thank you so much. And I noticed, I saw your summary poem in the thank you thread. I really liked it. And I know that you're interested in staying around and participating in the Slowpo stuff. So thank you for calling. Snaps for Chris. Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
All righty.
Take care.
Bye-bye. So we're going to go to Michelle Pereira and then to Gabe. Michelle, hi, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Folks will know from your comment probably that you're one of the people who are in a class here at Penn, a so-called regular class for credit in this room, and you're also doing ModPo, so it's a unique perspective.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to make my final word about. I remember on the first day of class, Al, you mentioned that last year you had a trucker call in.
While he was driving, yes.
Yeah, and he said that he listened to ModPo on these drives, and
exactly.
that really stuck with me. And I was like, wow, that's really cool, because I've never been in an online course. And I think throughout ModPo, I was just really amazed by all of the non-Penn people who attack this poetry with such vigor and passion, like the Carly and Carlas, the Alices, who come here from, regular life from far away and really contribute and really think this stuff is important. And I think all of the poets in ModPo would say that their poetry isn't art, it isn't excess, it's necessity. And I think that everyone in the course really feels that way, and I think the poets would be proud of how much we're engaging with it on an everyday level.
Thank you, Michelle, and are proud. Those who are in contact with us, Tracy, Erica Baum, Joe Massey, Kate Colby, Ron Silliman, Charles Bernstein. I just was interacting with Tracy a couple of nights ago. She's actually a pretty shy person, given that she's so amazing in performance, and has been in the ModPo forums before, and I think we're going to get a deal together to have her be significantly present next year. But this is an honor for her in the sense that, like Kamara found Tracy's work through ModPo, it's just a conduit, so she's really happy. And your juxtaposition to your implication that you're inside the Penn bubble as a student, and it's really refreshing to see people not for credit, really who have busy lives wanting to do this. It kind of inspires you, is what you said. So thank you so much. All right, we're going to go to Gabe and then to the phone. Gabe, thank you for doing this year.
Thank you for inviting me.
You were really, really great.
Thank you. I have two short things. The first is very short, and it's just basically, since this is my first time in ModPo, not my first time with 88 and not my first time with this material, but in ModPo, I just wanted to thank all the students for being welcoming and nice. And it was a lot of fun. The second is something I've been thinking about in these last few weeks a lot, and we've reflected on it sometimes, and I said a similar comment in 88 already, but I feel like it deserves repeating here, which is there were a lot of comments, especially about Anne Waldman and Tracy Morris, saying that the pieces were difficult to listen to because they were unpleasant in sound. The phrase nails on a chalkboard was employed a few times. And I was really interested in how that was coming up and how people were thinking about that. And sort of the conclusion that I've come to is that I think that kind of an understanding of the poems, that they're unpleasant because of their sound, is limiting to what we think a poem can do for us. I think it's limiting to think of a poem as something we can only aesthetically interact with, and that its pleasure is equal to its interactability or something like that. And I think there's so much going on in Anne Waldman and Tracy Morris, and I think they deserve to be talked about on so many different angles. And so I guess my final word is an invitation for us as readers to lean into the things that we find aesthetically difficult, and and to ask ourselves what they could be doing that isn't just a measure of how much pleasure we get from them. And I've found a lot in my studies that I find something difficult to read or unpleasant to read as I'm reading it, but as I think about it and as I try to create interpretations, or even if I write about it, I find new ways of actually taking a lot of pleasure in it, and I can come back to it and take that first kind of pleasure, that aesthetic pleasure from it in a new way.
Fantastic. Let's hear it for Gabe. Yeah. I see Allie Castleman in the Google Hangout, so what we're going to do is take the phone call, and then we'll turn to Allie. Okay, Allie, do you have a couple of minutes from work? Okay, great. Let's take the phone call first.
We have our dear friend Mandana calling us.
Ah, Mandana. Hello, my dear.
Hi, Al. How are
Hey,
you?
hey. We're sorry you couldn't make the trip.
I'm sorry, too. I know you're short for time, so I just have a quick thought that I thought to share.
Please.
I think it was John Cage who said, "I have nothing to say, I am saying it, and that is poetry." And I could write a thesis with dioramas on the ModPo experience after 5 years, but I think that it especially provides a place for many people who think they have nothing to say it. And thus, ModPo itself is poetry. And I just wanted to thank you and everyone there and behind the curtain who make it so indescribable and indelible for me and many, many people.
Thank you, Mandana, so much. Thanks for all of your efforts in ModPo over the years and for convening fabulous meetups in New York, for being so present.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Have a great day.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
That's Mandana. Okay, so we're going to go to Allie Castleman, who's in New York at work, stealing a few minutes away from work. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Al.
Hey.
I tried many, many times to get through over the phone, but it's like trying to call Congress right now, so that's good.
I like the parallel.
I just want to say that something that's really occurred to me in the forums, especially in the past couple of weeks, is compared to the world that we find ourselves in, where we can be overwhelmed with so much reactionary, inflammatory, kind of just like instant language. I'm struck by the contrast in the forums, which is filled with so much thoughtful, compassionate language. And I think it's so important to have a place that really instills and creates that sort of patience and stillness that can still be in conversation with hundreds and thousands of other people. And I mean, that's a hopeful thing to see in this environment. So I'm grateful for ModPo for providing that for me and for, I know, many, many other people.
Wow, so well put. Allie Castleman. Thank you, Allie. Thanks for all of your efforts, and especially that amazing thought. I mean, it makes me think of Gabe a few minutes ago talking about leaning into the difficulty. You have to do that with intentionality, presumably with patience, and that's what Allie's finding. It is true. I mean, there's just not a lot that whatever hatefulness is out there rhetorically in the world, very little of it, surprisingly, has gotten into our format. So we have someone on the phone, but I also wanted to give Colleen Knight, who's come a long way, a chance. So can we get the mic to Colleen, Jason? And then we'll take somebody on the phone now. But before we do that, Davey, any quotable tweets, or they're all quotable, but you know, ones that stand out for you? Sorry, I didn't give you any warning.
No, I've been looking and thinking about it. Something that's been notable about the tweets, especially in the last couple of weeks, but also this morning, is the way that people are just echoing each other and responding to each other and retweeting each other's language. A lot of retweeting of Gabe, of Lily, and just how much people want to have a recursive relationship to what's happening here. Joe Massey gives us the Sid Corman lines: "Life is poetry and poetry is life. Oh, awaken people," which I'm really enjoying right now.
Sid. So Sid. Thank you, Davey. Okay, so Anna, we have someone on the phone, and then we're going to go to Colleen.
We have our dear friend T. De Los Reyes calling us.
T from the Philippines.
From the Philippines. It's like super late at night. So
It's 11 p.m. or 12.
It's like after that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hello, T.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, I guess.
You've been so
It's been rough
empathetic
here.
the last couple of weeks. Thank you for all of your thoughts.
Yeah. I hope all of you are doing well.
I think we are. Are we we're doing well? I mean, you know, Lily was optimistic in her final words. I mean, so do you have some final thoughts for us this year, T, or do you just want to hang out with us in the Sid Corman way? Just knowing that you're there makes it good.
I want to say something about what ModPo means to me after 5 years of being here. Hello?
Yes. Oh, we can. We're waiting. Thank you. T, can't wait to hear what you have to say. We can hear you.
All right. I'll try to gather my thoughts and be fast.
Okay, take your time.
All right. So 5 years ago, I was at the deepest depression I've ever been in, and the day I logged on to ModPo, I remember it was September 2012, and I haven't physically spoken at all to anyone for like give or take 3 months. And I live in a house with 6 other adults, so you can imagine how that is. Anyway, after logging on to class, I felt awake for the first time in a long time. And then last Friday, I was at the protest rally shouting until my throat hurt. You know, just getting my anger out. And not sure if it's updated there, but my government has just buried the dictator at high noon, to our collective surprise, and just the feeling of disbelief at everything that's been happening. I mean, my parents forbid me to become a journalist because martial law has taught them that writing is a seditious act. So I grew up in a house that forbid writing, and I turned out to be a poet, so that's irony for you. Anyway, I was standing out there in the street with my friends, and this line by Creeley just keeps repeating in my head. The darkness surrounds us. What can we do against it? And I guess what I'm trying to say is it might be difficult to see how poetry can save the world right now, but poems, even just a single poem, can save you. I mean, I know because poems have saved me. 5 years ago and every year since, I come home to ModPo and the poem saves me. So I really believe that the work of art and poetry must continue, especially during these dark times. And I feel we are in dark times now. And I've got to be honest, I no longer feel safe here. And I worry about my friends over there and my family as well. And I worry that they're not safe as well. That maybe it is no longer safe for us anywhere. And times like these, ModPo has been such a safe space for me. I hope it will continue to be one to everyone listening right now. I mean, ModPo exists, so you will have a place. And thank you to you, Al, and Julia, and Lily, and Anna, Davey, Chris, Zach, Emily, Max, Jason, Eric, Gabe, Carlos, Kamara, Dave, Erica, Jake, Molly, Ali, Amaris, Joe, Vandana, and the rest of the CPAs. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, for giving me a place. You guys are amazing. Salamat. Right, that's it.
Thank you, T. When you first joined us, you felt, I think, that your contribution was going to be technical mostly because you're an amazing technical person, a computer person. You solved problems, you fixed things in the site, which is kind of an amazing thing to think about. You did it all as a volunteer. And I think maybe you felt that your poetic contributions would be secondary to that. And I think in 5 years, what's emerged consistently is that your main contribution is your humanity, your understanding of how in the diaspora, actually a U.S., one of our rare things, the Philippines, for United States imperialism, because it's not like the British Empire where there were 150 colonies. This is the relationship with the Philippines is special. And so the diasporic relationship to English language poetry is something you've thought about more than anybody in those 5 years. And to say, and I'm sure I'm speaking for my friends here on the team, to say that it's possible to actually love someone, to come to love someone you've never met and whom you're not likely to meet is impossible. Well, fuck that. It's completely possible. And I think we feel that about you, and so grateful for your comments always, always, always. Thank you, T.
Oh, thank you, guys.
All right. Love you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Love
All
you
right.
too, guys. Bye.
Bye. That's T. Who's going to follow that? Colleen Knight is going to somehow follow. Colleen came from Canada to be with us today, right, Colleen?
Yes, I did.
Community TA and a great supporter, and thank you. Do you have some final thoughts?
Yes, I do. I just think about the poem, I Know a Man, and I know that some people just think they see or hear two people in the car. I kind of hear a number of voices in that car. It's packed full, and all these people are talking, and the lines are given out like a script to different people. And in ModPo, there are so many voices everywhere and so many ways to access all of those voices. And I kind of see a parallel between that poem and ModPo. I'm grateful that ModPo exists. I remember my first year 3 years ago. I was actually crying because I couldn't read all the poems because I thought I had to. And now I know that I don't. And then my other memory from my first year was when I mentioned in the forums that, I thought poetry was something you just read in a book and sat in your comfy chair and just read to yourself quietly. And I didn't know there were open mics. And Al came in and made a comment, and I think he was actually really laughing at me. But I have done my first open mic since then. So, so in terms of my final thoughts, I'd just like to thank Al and the gang very much. I'd also like to thank Mark Snyder. He's my buddy. I text him every day. He's actually got me to play the guitar. So I've been doing that for a year now. And I'd like to thank Matt Corey. And yes, I will send you a postcard from Philly. I'll get in trouble if I don't. And I'd also like to thank Mary Obrapta. She was generous yesterday, and she introduced me to Philly. So it's all about friends and family, really, to me, ModPo. Poetry and friends. So thank you very much.
Friends first and poetry second. Seriously,
Sure.
Colleen. Thank you. Colleen Knight, who made a long trip to be with us. So we're going to go to Susie B., and then if you got a Susie B., okay, and then Eric, and then I want to turn to Erica for a final thoughts. So Susie B., and we also have someone on the phone, so that's going to get in there somewhere. Susie B., hello.
Hi. Thanks
Hi.
for having
Final
me.
thoughts?
Sure. I came into this course as a senior, having been blessed to take a couple of writers' house classes before, and I was sort of wary about the ModPo experience, and it's been incredible. People are brilliant in the forums. I love just reading it. Often it takes me a while to write my comment, and I don't want to start formulating my own thoughts before I read people who are much smarter than me, who are writing these brilliant things. And I've really enjoyed engaging in that. And in terms of the content itself, I've been really thinking a lot about, right from the beginning, the back and forth between Whitman and Dickinson and how that resonates with me as I walk around this campus and, think about my future and things to come and being in my own head and really thinking about, more selfish things versus just observing and taking in the world around me, and the tension and the, resonance between those two schools of thought, I think is really the crux of where I'm at right now. So I appreciate these poets from years before me articulating it in a beautiful way.
Thank you, Susie. Fantastic. So we're going to go to the phone and then to Eric and then to Erica. Who's on the phone?
We have our CTA pal, Anthony Watkins, calling us today.
Anthony from West Palm.
Yep.
Hey, Anthony.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks for everything you do in ModPo and there in West Palm Beach. This is great.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of intelligent stuff to say this morning.
That's what you always start out humble, Anthony. Good. Let's get rid of that and just say brilliant stuff because you really are amazing.
Well, thank you, but no, what I wanted to say is thank you and thank your wonderful team because ModPo has really changed my life in ways that I could not have imagined when I signed up for some online course for poetry. And I just wanted to say thank you. It's been an amazing ride so far, and I don't think I'm going to get off anytime soon.
Fantastic, Anthony. And I really, meeting the other people in your area, I was so impressed by that group. Totally amazing group, and I hope you'll continue with that.
We will.
All right, cool. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day. So we're going to turn to Eric and then to Erica.
So I'd like to shout out Lily Applebaum, who does a heck of a lot at the Writers' House and for ModPo. Yesterday ran an amazing open forum for our students with Feminista Jones. But that's just like, whenever I'm here, I always see how hard she's working to make sure everything goes well. And beyond that, when I watch the videos that Lily is in, she has so much amazing stuff to say. So I just really want to say thank you to Lily.
Yes, Lily Applebaum. Cheers. Where's the wine? Why aren't we drinking?
So
shouldn't we be I'm Lily Applebaum, and I have a few brilliant things to say today. And we've been here since 8:30 working really hard as Eric says.
Feminista reminded me of something very important for teachers. I just want to share this with people who are formerly teachers and people who think of themselves as potential teachers. Paulo Freire, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. As we think about ways to support the people and the communities around us, I think we can look to Freire's model for teaching and to open up what education means and to empower the communities around us. I think poetry and ModPo give us lots and lots of tools to do that with, but the most important tool we ever have is the respect we learn for other people. ModPo models a great deal of respect for other people, and I think there are things we can take from this so that when we meet again next year, and hopefully most of us will, we will have strength and we will have stories of resistance and struggle and dignity to begin again.
Thank you, Eric. And thanks for all of your help over the years. So much. You do so much for us. We're going to go to Erica and then the phone, and then we have a few more TAs, and then we're going to wrap up with a series of thank yous and shout outs to people who are typically pretty quiet and deserve shout out. So, Erica, you're here.
I'm here.
You have no idea how, well, maybe you do, but we all feel so happy that you're here at the table.
Me too. I've
Right?
always wanted to be here in person for final words. So
And
this
here
is
you are.
fabulous.
Thanks
I'm here.
for everything that you've done, you and Max in the Teacher Resource Center. And
Mhm.
and it seems true that when you join us for Webcast that you're really genuinely like happy to drop the other stuff and hang out with us for an hour. So that's great.
Yeah. For my final words, I wanted to really thank everyone. ModPo is a community that really keeps me going and has opened up a new community for me up where I live, upstate at Bard College. I wanted to give a shout out to my colleague Phil Party, who's taking ModPo and who's on some of our newer videos. And he and I have been talking a lot about contemporary poetry, and we're hoping to do something on HD, and I'm learning a lot from him. And that happened through ModPo. And I also want to shout out Zach and Chris. Max and I generated so much new stuff in a very short period of time for the Teacher Resource Center, and they're both absolutely amazing.
They are. Can we pause? And
Yeah, let's pause.
Zach and Chris.
And to piggyback on what Eric just said and also what Lily was saying before, another book that's written by a dear friend of Paulo Freire that I think is useful for us to be thinking about now that deals with pedagogies of resistance is Ira Shore, When Students Have Power. And he's somebody who teaches in the public university system in New York City. And finally, after that incredibly emotional, for me, webcast the morning after the election, I felt so happy that the way that I spent that morning was with all of you. And that day or the day after, I was talking with one of our ModPo poets, Joan Ritalik, about, what is it that poetry can do right now? And the thing that she got me thinking about, which I think Lily articulated beautifully, is empathy and the fact that poetry is really people who care about language in a very deep way. And that the importance of contemporary poetry that's asking us to think differently, is that it can serve as a reminder that there are things happening that don't feel so brutal. So thank you all.
Thank you, Erica Kaufman. And Joan Ritalik inspired us specifically. You brought some Joan poems, and a few of us are going to go into the studio this afternoon and record a new ModPo Plus discussion of some of her new work. And she sort of gave it to us, really. It's sort of for ModPo. Okay, so we have someone on the phone. We also want to hear from Davey and Anna and Max via Anna, and also to give Chris and Zach a chance to have some final words. And and I'd like to also, not everybody in the room is going to get to speak, but I'd like to ask Savannah to also get a final word if she's into it. Okay, so let's go to the phone first.
So we've got our friend Allison Borkowska calling us.
Oh, Allison.
Normally from State College, but today she's in Sacramento, so,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Allison.
Hi, Al.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great.
It's so nice to talk to you guys.
It really is. It's not been the easiest time in Happy Valley. They call it Happy Valley. This is where Penn State is. I know that you've struggled there for a variety of reasons, but you're in Sacramento, so that's cool.
Yeah. It was so refreshing to get off the airplane in Sacramento. I was like, oh, this is so normal and nice.
Yeah,
so
it's just may you find colleagues who are supportive, and you certainly have them here, Allison. You have them here.
I'm coming to Philadelphia. I am. I told Anna. I'm so bummed I didn't make it during the regular ModPo season, but it's just, I'm working 2 full-time jobs trying to transition out of Penn State, so it's just been crazy. But I did want to say thank you as always, because I love ModPo, and it's lovely, and it's gotten me through this tough time for sure. It's been an integral part of my day. Even just in the evenings, just scrolling through everybody's wonderful remarks every week is lovely. And I love managing the teen threads, so that's really where I spent most of my time this month.
Yeah, you've done the thread for teens for months now. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so it was really, it's just a pleasure to see these young people exposing themselves to all this radical poetry. So it's been a lot of fun. And
Allison, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to plug and shout out to you on that point. We don't plan any of this. ModPo is, because it's a third-party site platform, there's a certain top-downishness to it, despite our resistance to that. We plan the main syllabus, but so much of ModPo is unplanned, and one of the things that's unplanned is that you just like showed up to do work with the teens, and other people show up to do the work with the teachers, and other people show up to, it's quite remarkable how it works, and you really just figured out how to do it, and we appreciate that.
I love that you can find the need that you want to focus on, and you can just go do that, and it works. It's like there's no stepping on toes, there's no problem. It's like anybody can come in and do it. It's never an issue. And if I don't do it, then I know Mark Heron's going to pick up my slack or whatever. So it's like just
Mark
nice
picks up all our slacks. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He really does. He's
right.
Amazing. So it's a very fluid experience being part of this, and I look forward to it every year. I just wrote my comment that it makes everything. It makes the cold coming and the leaves falling, and it makes everything just a little more bearable.
Allison, thank you so much for everything that you do.
And I'll let you guys know when I'm coming out.
Please come anytime. We'd love to have you.
I will. I'll keep you
all
posted.
Right. Take
all right.
care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. For those who aren't used to Allison, she goes by Burkowski in the forums. You've seen her around. Okay, Savannah, hi.
Hello.
Final thought?
Yeah, so I'm a pretty soft-spoken member of the class, but I just want to say I think through listening to everyone and looking at all of the ModPo forums where everyone is so open to diversity of thinking and so empathetic and so supportive of everyone's ideas, I've really gained a much deeper appreciation for poetry. Before this class, it was never something that I thought that I really liked because I always thought that there was some ultimate deeper meaning that I was never really smart enough to understand. And that's very much changed through all of the discussions that we've had in this class. And I feel like now I have some really, really awesome tools to continue reading poetry for fun on my own. And also just really quickly as some of the people have said, I was also at the Webcast the morning after the election, and that was definitely the best place I could have been that day. So I very much want to thank everyone in this community for that. So,
thank you, Savannah. Okay, so Anna, we're only going to take one more call if it comes in. Jason, why don't you take the mic and keep it and do your final words? So one more phone call, and then we'll politely unplug it, and then we'll go a few more, and then I have my wrap up. Jason, hey, good morning.
Good morning, Al.
Hey, can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Well, I've been thinking about it, and I guess when I go to the library and I take out a book, I'm happiest when there's scribbles and notes from previous readers. My best experience at an art museum was at the old Dia in Manhattan, where I went with an artist friend who had chalk and started drawing on and around the art, and we were forcibly escorted out by the security guards. How
old were you when you did this?
23, 24.
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say you were 15. That's great.
No.
You really are an anarchist then, basically.
Well, I guess. And that artist went on to design the cover of my book. So it was a bonding experience, but...
Wait, the artist whose work you defaced?
No, the artist... It was only chalk. It was only chalk.
Sorry.
And it was written on the floor around an installation. So anyway, the point is that what we have in ModPo is what we call collaborative reading. And... we can think of like the medieval monks writing notes and notes and notes and manuscripts over periods of time as maybe the closest thing that we have to what we've created here, which is something to bring, hopefully from your experience at ModPo, to your own other reading of poems, which is to remember that you are always in a community of readers, and it is through forgetting that the darkness can descend, that we are, and what ModPo is so beautifully shows what is really going on when you're reading a poem.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes elsewhere, other readers are reading, maybe it might just be a couple readers reading a poem, but your contribution as a reader is real. And so if you have a poetry book from the library, write down your response.
Right there in the margins.
Right there in the margins.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sorry, go ahead. You had a...
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing. And the other is I went with students yesterday to see the movie Arrival, which is a sci-fi film about translation and language and time. And I think, and it really made me think of Tracy Morris's work. And I will leave that as a mystery for you to solve by going to see the film.
All right, great. Thank you, Jason. Let's hear it for Jason. Thank you so much, Jason. And I love what you say about knowing there are other readers out there. Sometimes there are hundreds and thousands of them, and just knowing that they're there is cool. Jake Marmer has joined us on a little break from teaching. So why don't we go to Jake next so he can go back to work there with his students and then go to the phone. Jake, I have two quick shout-outs before we turn to you. One is to Tom Morgan, who I seem to shout out on our final words a lot because 3 or 4 years ago, he's the guy in Ohio who had sudden open heart surgery. It was a sudden thing, and he was out for a while, and then he was able to come back. And he says that ModPo was really, if you remember, the kind of neurological thing, the thinking thing that helped him come back. And he wrote again, I find it surprising to reflect back 38 months and consider how much I've grown poetically. I have never quite had what it takes to be an Ivy League scholar, and I still could never compete intellectually with many of the people active in the discussion forums, but the pleasure I've received and pride in accomplishment I've felt from growing and understanding of these poems has been among the greatest joys of my retirement years. And Kyle Greenberg, anybody who's read Kyle Greenberg's post knows how utterly brilliant he is second year in ModPo. The ModPo format facilitates and provokes their depth, difficulty, and enduring contribution to my thinking. This he's referring to the discussions. And I'm grateful for all the perfectly perfect strangers who roam these lands, challenging and inviting challenge. Poetry is just the cover story for what really takes place here. Kyle Greenberg. Jake Marmer, thank you for doing a first season of ModPo. You're a fan favorite and a favorite of mine too. Thank you. And Lily and I and Chris and Zach loved visiting your classroom. It's an amazing space.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. I'll be very brief.
That's your classroom. I recognize it.
That's it.
You're at your desk. Are there any students there wondering what the heck you're doing?
No, they're in other classes.
Okay.
Thankfully, so I have a few quiet minutes.
Okay.
So I want to say that. Well, first of all, I've been teaching ModPo here in the high school classroom, and in my last class last week, I asked my students a meta-pedagogical question. I said, "Why do you think Al chose to close the course with Tracy Morris' poem, this particular poem?" And we wrestled with this for a while, and there were some beautiful answers, many of them relating to the question of the what and the how and the content. But what my students brought up that I didn't think of previously was that, this poem, among other things, is also about starting and restarting. And that's what an auspicious way to end, by talking about a beginning, this very important, significant beginning, and all of the things that beginning could imply and could mean. So, the course is ending, but we're really just starting. We're restarting. It's all starting. Whether thematically, whether your work is now starting, your work as a person, your work as a poet, as a reader, as a member of the poetic community, we are restarting.
Thank you, Jake. Jake Marmer, everybody. That's fantastic. Thank you. Enjoy your teaching day. Stay on a few minutes if you can. We're going to go to the phone. Then, Anna, it's you, and also you speaking for Max, if you can do that. Okay. Who's on the phone?
So we've got our pal Robin calling us from Florida.
Robin Cohn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Robin.
Hi, Al. How
Can
are
I
you?
ask you a question?
Yes.
You have to be truthful in your answer. A few years ago, the Baroness Elsa von Freytag Loringhoven called. Was that you?
That was indeed.
Oh, it's so fucking weird.
drinking
There's
yet this
tens of.
morning,
We've had 170,000 people in ModPo. I finally got to, and somebody called us the Baroness, and it's Robin. This is so great. Good job. That was good. Do you want to do just a second of your Baroness? Can you bring up your Baroness? Can you channel your Baroness? Because we really need the Baroness right now.
Oh, hello, Al, darling. That Anna certainly knows her onions.
That's cool. All right, now back to Robin, not the Baroness.
Yes.
Well, I'd love to hear the Baroness' final words, but maybe we'll wait till next year
The
on that.
Baroness would like to be there for that wine that you offered.
Yeah.
And
So
I
you,
just wanted to
a dozen glasses, yes.
a dozen glasses.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank everyone for being respectful and kind and intelligent. And my personal motto is have courage and be kind. And usually I don't have too much trouble with the kindness, but the courage needs a little work. So I'm calling as me and not as the Baroness. And just to say thank you.
Thank you, Robin Cohn. Have a great day, and hope you'll listen to the end of the webcast, and we'll see. I know we'll see you back again.
Definitely.
All right.
In Florida or in Philly.
Great. Fantastic. Robin Cohn. Okay, so we're going to unplug the phone, and Anna, will you speak for Max first, and then yourself?
Yeah. All right, so Max was unable to be with us today, so he wrote me his final word, and I'm honored to read it to you. So Max says, "Beloved ModPoers, I regret I cannot join you this morning for our final word session. I'm sure I'll get to see you all soon enough, either in the forums or in the flesh, and I'm confident our conversations, some of which have been going on for about half a decade, will go on indefinitely. First, shout out to my TRC colleagues and to the Chicago Meetup group. Both of these groups, each in their own way, have helped me to sharpen my teaching chops and turn them into an invaluable skill set that transcends the classroom and that I can take pretty much into any situation and scenario. Moreover, my appreciation for the ModPo community at large only ever grows. Last week, I posted a general note of appreciation on the Facebook addressed to a lot of people in my life, including a good deal of ModPo people, some of whom I have never met face-to-face, but who I feel like have nevertheless have always had my back, and I hope you know I have yours. This has been a trying autumn for a lot of people. I can't say how grateful I am to this community for providing a thread, as it were, to follow through the labyrinth and many more threads on the forums. I look forward to watching this recording to see you all grown at that pun. Until we arrange again by chance to meet, yours sincerely, Max."
All right, Max, I know he'll watch a recording, so let's make sure we snap loudly for Max. All right, Anna Strong, your final thoughts?
Yeah, so I was thinking about what I wanted to say on my way over here, and I've just been sort of looking back on the last 5 years of this crazy experiment that so many of us have been part of since the beginning. And I was just thinking that so much has changed for so many of us about like our lives, you know, whether it's changes in the country, changes in location, changes in jobs, in school, and whatever it was. But this course has been just this constant source of community and of thought and work and collaboration for that whole 5 years. And in a restless world like this is, I'm just so tremendously grateful to each and every one of you for making this community what it is and making it this constant sort of grounding that I have every fall and throughout every winter. So thank you so much to all of you, and to you, Al, and to my TA colleagues and to the CTAs. I'm just really grateful to continue to be a part of this.
Thank you, Anna Strong. Yeah. So you also coordinated everything this year, and we're grateful to you for that. And you're going to continue to coordinate in the SLOPO, and we have much more to say about that. Also, every teacher, even in a democratic classroom, a teacher focuses on from the place of central place of speaking, no matter how decentering you're trying to be. There's always a couple of people you look to indicate how things are going, and of course during the webcasts it's always Anna, and so there's smiles, there's tears, there's eye rolling, there's like reading her email. No, but I appreciate your being the kind of person who responds. You always respond. Can you, Jason, give the mic to Zach? He won't want to say much, but I want Zach, who's amazing. Zach Gardner does so much for us. And Zach, people really don't know how without you and Chris this thing would be screwed, basically. Can you say hello, Zach? You're amazing.
Hi, yeah. I do have a final word, actually.
But you want to put the camera on you? You probably don't, do you?
Let's see. I'll
you
do
have
this
some
and I'll step out
choices.
So Jason stole my final word idea, but I'm just gonna jump off what he said about Arrival, because Arrival made me think too about communication and cycles and circles. And I think there's something nice about the fact that ModPos, we have final words. It's called final words, but we have it every year. And if final words can happen every year, then election results can happen every 4 years. So I think ModPo imitates life in that sense. So we should, keep that in mind.
Cool. There's term limits somewhere else, but no term limits on ModPo.
Right.
That's cool. Chris Martin, can you grab the mic? Chris Martin, well, aside from doing all kinds of technical stuff, I have to say the audio and the setup on the webcast are really hard. And
they're crazy.
It's crazy. And I don't think anybody, and as I've said before, Chris goes around the country presenting, like people who want to make MOOCs a slightly interactive, like 4% interactive instead of 60% interactive, which is us. And Chris explains what we do, and people go, fuck, no, I'm not going to do that. What are you, nut? Look at this. Look at this mess. It's like spaghetti. So thanks, Chris. Do you want to say something? Hello?
Yeah, no problem. What do I want to say? I guess I've been working with Al and the Writers' House and the university for 5 years now, or 5.5 years. Before ModPo and Coursera were part of our dictionaries. And I remember passing by Al in the Writers' House, not during a meeting or anything, just walking past him. And he was smiling, and he seemed really excited. And he said, "You have no idea what I just got done talking to somebody about." And I got to admit, I was a little nervous. And he said, "I'll fill you in later." So later came, and he told me, "We're going to do this online course, and we're going to film 80 videos. And I want to do, a live webcast. Can we do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so. I don't know." So over the next handful of months, we put together what would become ModPo, and I get to work on a lot of really cool things here at the university. But ModPo is always the first thing I tell people I work on when I tell people about myself and working here, because it's the coolest thing I get to do, and it's something I look forward to doing every time. I shouldn't say this out loud, but I don't mind staying here till 10 o'clock to do these webcasts, because I have so much fun with them. And getting to work on something so meaningful and reaching so many people across the world is just amazing. So thank you for being here and making it possible.
Chris Martin. Anna's face. Davey Niddle, your first year with us. Wow, if you can bring that to us a second year. And I'm here to announce that Davey Niddle has signed on, the first TA to re-sign a new contract. Jason's thinking, do we have contracts? I didn't know we had contracts. No, you don't have a contract. You have a no trade clause is what you have. Davey, thank you. You are really just amazing. Well, I just love sitting next to you and seeing your brain work. It's remarkable. Final thoughts?
So one of the loveliest things that happened in my first year of ModPo was an office hour I had that took up 2 months. So the second week of office hours, week 2, I posted an Elizabeth Willis poem, Address, and MC Katniss and Meredith Lederer had a conversation with me about it for 2 months. And that conversation turned to being in large part about grief, and I've been thinking a lot about grief and depression in ModPo. And I wanted to read something that MC said just a few days ago and make my final word sort of focused on that. And she wrote, When my father passed at the end of my first ModPo in 2013, I didn't know what to do with my grief. So I would get in my car and drive around with it. Crazy. I did some of my best mourning behind the wheel, but somehow alone in the car, the full weight of it would hit me, and the driving was a way for the grief to move. If not a way, then at least to move. It's a very difficult process, and when it descends, it is both beyond description and surprising in the enormity of it. The pain lessened when I finally realized that the most important thing that I felt coming from my father was still there in the realm of feeling, where it always was. Take heart. You are exactly where you should be. And I've been really grateful for ModPo for a million reasons. And one of them is all of the people who participate in ModPo, because it's a way for them, in part, to deal with depression, to deal with grief, and that they really, you bring that out, you come, and the way that you take in the information, the way that you engage with the poems, makes a space for that. And the idea that there's an academic space where it's the work of dealing with your grief is equal to the weight of the poems, and there's no way into the poems without that. That's amazing to me. And the confession I've been trying not to make is that in 2012, I lived abroad for a year, and I came back, and I signed up for the first ModPo, and I got all of the emails, and I was going through something really rough, and I never looked at any of it because I was scared to death. I was just scared out of my mind, and always thought, dreamed of being part of this one day. And so this year has been a really big thing for me, and I felt like I had to hold on to that. I'm going to start crying. I felt like I had to hold on to that, but this is a dream come true for me, so thank you guys.
Davey Niddle. Thank you, Davey, a lot. I can't, in my final thoughts, and bear with me, I want to speak about people who are silent in ModPo, who are in the forums, but you probably don't know them. So bear with me, because I think they're significant. It's quite a diverse group. It's Thanksgiving in the United States, and although it's about to be, and although 51% by the last assessment, thanks to the Coursera, use of the domains, the country domains, 51% are not United States people, and so those celebrating Thanksgiving in ModPo are a minority, but still, this is a good time for giving thanks. And I want to make sure that we turn briefly to the CTAs. I'm not going to name them. Some of them called in. Some of them are in the room. The CTAs make this thing work. The ModPo TAs, many of them have been doing this for 5 years, but they couldn't possibly do as much as the CTAs do. They're everywhere. They've guaranteed that anyone in the world who submitted an essay, no matter how tentatively, no matter how seemingly amateurishly or novicely or rookieishly, that they got the attention they deserved. Everyone in this course, and at this point there's about 21,000, just a little shy of 22,000 people, which is small compared to previous years, that everyone who wrote an essay got at least 4 responses. That is unusual. Doesn't happen in a university where you pay full tuition. You get 1 response typically. So CTAs, you're the best. I want to turn to give thanks to other people. So we're thankful for Hilary Totterman of Great Britain, who is feeling awe over this deep, wide moment of global concordance. That's a quote. We're thankful for Pham Thi My Dien, who I believe is joining us from Vietnam, and who has, by her account, enrolled in ModPo many times, who failed to make it to the end previously, but now just a day ago proudly told me that she has finished week 10 and intends to stay with us. We're thankful for Nicholas Powell, an Australian poet living in Finland, who came to us via Poem Talk and Pen Sound. We're thankful for Alan Levine of Strawberry, Arizona, who found ModPo through Twitter, and because of ModPo pulled his previously unread Dickinson edition from its shelf and discovered her power. We're thankful for Shraddha Singh from Mumbai, India, a 3rd time in ModPo, and loves Dickinson every single time. We're thankful for Bjorn Neumann, a physics student in Bremen, Germany, who this year, after 3 years of doing ModPo, got into ModPo Plus and had a revelatory experience. We're thankful for Emily Michael of Jacksonville, Florida, who teaches grammar workshops for immigrants and other multilingual learners, who is a blind poet and a musician and did ModPo this year for the first time. We're thankful for Brandy Jackson, who was part of the first ModPo in 2012 and says she missed us the years after and felt she needed the open personal format of ModPo again and joined us 5 years later. And who feels that ModPo is more enjoyable and more personal than, quote, any real English course she took in college. Brandy, you need to get your money back. We're thankful for Alan Wang of Shanghai, second year in ModPo, in training to be a professional interpreter, who loves especially the difficult poems in ModPo, quote, with weirdly pleasant musicality. We're thankful for Lonnie Sinclair in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, who skipped high school and, as she put it, was life-schooled, and who did ModPo because she passionately believes now that, quote, education is never wasted. We're thankful for Kendall Nicole, a high school student at a charter school in New Orleans, who desperately wanted to, quote, unscramble my sense of myself and my surroundings in my own writing and to meet other people around the world who value the written word. We're thankful for Emma Abdallah Rodriguez, 15 years old in Puerto Rico in a small coastal town, who has been homeschooled since 5th grade and says she needed ModPo in the worst way and wants me to say hello to all her ModPo friends, that she's grateful to you and please know that she exists. We're thankful for Kaio Funato in Japan, who wants us to know that someone like me far away from the Kelly Writers House is reading poems at lunch break, watching video discussions while folding laundry, listening to recordings while cooking dinner, and doing my assignments next to the kids doing their homework, and who concludes this way, quote, I guess I do live in the house of possibility after all. We're thankful for Rose Marwick, who is as far away geographically from us as anyone could possibly be, but who nonetheless worried about us in a personal way, how tired we sometimes looked. Not finishing our coffees, she observed. Felt empathy for Dave, Emily, Allie, Anna, Molly, Max, especially as we went through all those close readings. And who, quote, now that ModPo is over, feels quite empty and must face real life here in Tasmania, but will recruit her Tasmanian friends and neighbors for next year. We're thankful for our longtime friend, Deanna Ramirez Zarate, whom I saw in the forums again this morning and on Facebook, who stays with ModPo every year because she likes hanging around, quote, with people who greatly care about the process of learning and not just the content that is being taught. We're grateful for Robin Cohn, who called in earlier, who quotes Sid Corman's in her farewell, quotes Sid Corman's "It Isn't for Want," and then says she, Robin, is grateful for all of us learning, sharing, creating, and being there, being detained and staying. We are thankful for Helen Zadowski, who says that after ModPo, quote, she can't quite look at a word again in the same way. We're thankful for Scrambled Eggs, one of our loyal skeptics, often, who in the thank you thread revealed himself and then left us with a moving poem starting with Ray Armentrout's productive sense of being lost. He writes, Scrambled Eggs, I'm a science, law, finance guy. This was my first exposure to the New York School and to language poetry. And then a little poem from Scrambled Eggs, which I didn't think I would see. An adult, I was abandoned in a course of splinters, a slight swerve of glass spreading difference. Rock on, Scrambled Eggs. We are thankful for our students here at Penn in a course called English 88, which is the origin 31 years ago of ModPo, who did ModPo along with the many thousands of others in the world, thus providing them an unprecedented context for their education here in the bubble of Penn as an institution. And to Caroline Harris, who's here in the room, for instance, who writes, ModPo proves the power of poetry today and every day. In difficult times like these, it's helpful to remember that there's a whole community out there of thoughtful, creative, engaged, poetry-loving people. The world needs more poetry, and the world needs more ModPo people. And we're thankful, finally, for Magdalena Castani of Athens, very, very active in the forums. She writes, I would like to shout out the educational pedagogical style that has been introduced through ModPo. The student scholar is a vital part of the process as the whole group dives more and more into the depths of meaning. Freedom, respect, faith, equality, education, creativity equals democracy / ModPo. Yes, you made it real for 5 years, and I feel that the 3 times I've been here is like I opened a mysterious hidden door that led to a great number of fascinating new worlds. ModPo is not only about poetry, it is about life. Love to all the ModPo family. I have to confess that a lot of those people whom I encountered in the forums, I only encountered because I am completely crazy and obsessed. I don't sleep that much, and I'm wandering around the forums in the middle of the night, and that's why I'm finding people who posted once or twice, or who said something really revealing about themselves, or who confessed a feeling of inadequacy in comparison to all the brilliant people otherwise. Find them, say something, yes, I'm obsessed. Yes, it's crazy to think about being in there with thousands of people. But I've come to think of my career as a professor at Penn it's a long one now. And I think that 5 years ago, as Chris implied by my enthusiasm that day, putting work on him that he hadn't signed up for, that I think, and Lily most of all gets to see this because we work so closely together, but I think my sense of teaching, the urgency of it, the crucial aspect of trying to turn the pedagogy on its head, which, I'm a kind of talk a lot, take over aggressive person, so it's really, as you've noticed, kind of difficult for me to even have a cousin relationship to the pedagogy of the oppressed, or to flipping the classroom. But ModPo has really made it possible for me to think about the value of that and all those people that I named. And even the person from Vietnam who had a slight participation, but then completed the course, that person is here, right? Just as much as Savannah is here, who felt that this was the place to be on November 9th, so people far-flung feel that this is a here. Can you imagine, in 1993, before the graphical browser came about, ever thinking that there was a here that wasn't actually there face-to-face in the room? We've created a here that's vital. And so, as we always do one way or other, we're going to close out ModPo 2016 by listening to the 21 seconds of Sid Corman, who created a here from Kyoto for us one night in 1999, and who describes detaining you, which is what ModPo is hoping to do, to keep you from going. Because as Jason was saying about all those readers you just sort of know are also reading the poem, collaboration is a spiritual thing. It might not actually be an actual thing. It might not actually be a chalked around the artwork actual collaboration where you can read the dialogue. It may be a dialogue that's out there that you don't know is there, from Mumbai or Singapore, or from a Manila, where people are actually, as T said, actually thinking that they, having lived through Marcos, maybe know something about what we, the colonizer, might be going through. There's a reversal. And T's empathy for that is, I cannot say enough about how extraordinary that is, that speech that she made. That is a here too, in Manila, feeling us here so keenly that T could be as eloquent about our own situation. So here's Sid Corman. We wish you all the best. Those of you who are in the room, please stay for pizza. It should arrive. And here's Sid with the final, non-final word.
All right. It isn't for want of something to say, something to tell you, something you should know, but to detain you, keep you from going, feeling myself here as long as you are, as long as you are.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to everybody on the table here. Thanks to Jake. There's Jake clapping. Can you give yourselves a big hand? Thank you, ModPo 2016. We'll see you in Slowpo, and we'll see you next year.